Where's what's his name's affiliate or regional rundown statistic thing?
For week
Tui
4.
regional. Voyager hasn't been played.
No one's even played a Voyager deck yet in any regional.
Oh wait, no. After week 4, 2 of them. But yeah, they're bottom of the pile, right above Con and Triple.
All right, I did the soft opening, then we all shut the fuck up when I did the soft opening, so we'll do the big intro. Welcome to the Discard Pile. I'm your host, John Corbett. Just so everyone is forewarned, if you're listening to this past 5 minutes, I'm going to consider that a signed waiver because I've been drinking tonight. Playing some horseshoes, playing some tribbles, so I got nothing prepared. We're going to do this. We're going to do this like a nice lounge show tonight. I got the beer. I got the cigar somewhere. Where's my cigar? There we go. We got the cigar. We're just going to sit back. We're gonna recap. We're going to recap my big nerd month of April. I should introduce my guest first. How rude of me. How rude. My first guest tonight is Josh Sheets. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you for having me on again. Pleasure to be here.
Now, Josh, you sent me a text a while back when the Eagles signed Tim Tebow to the training camp. Why are you hating on Tim Tebow, man? That's Jesus' boy, man. Why are you hating on Tim Tebow?
I've hated on him since he was at Florida. I can't help it.
You know what? When Tim Tebow scores a touchdown, he don't run into the end zone. Jesus carries him. Just angels pick him up and carry him into the end zone. Yeah,
that might be part of it.
It's not wrong. I know people have been busting my balls too. But he's a training camp guy. He's got to go out there. You need a fourth quarterback for that. All right, my second guest tonight. He's a first-time guest on the Discard Pile. We're gonna break his cherry tonight. Justin the Hitman Ford. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks, dude.
Now, what we learned, and Josh is going to back me up on this, what we learned from in this month of April, for sure, 100%, is that Justin is the worst non-female driver I've ever met in my entire life. Can you back me up?
Really?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
You know, what Justin doesn't know, and I'm going to what Josh doesn't know, I always mix their names up, so I'm going to do this during the show. What Josh doesn't know is that when I got to Seattle the week after Orlando, we stop at we get off the plane, we go right to the casino because I'm a degenerate gambler. And Justin's whipping his car into the parking lot, and he just straight up hits a curb. Bang! We just bang over a curb. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ, he really is the worst.
Nice. And yes, you are a degenerate gambler.
Well, but that story, too, I almost won. I got fourth place in a $40 poker tournament as soon as we got off the plane. And I was telling Justin, I'm like, Justin, we're gonna eat like fat rats, man. I had like fourth place was like $70 profit. And the first place was like $480. I'm like, shit, I'm about to roll into this town, make $480. And then sure enough, the guy had I had ace king, the guy had ace queen. It was like something flush, you lose, get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, oh man. So that was the end of it.
At the craps table.
Yeah, then I won 70. I blew 65 at the dice table. Took the $5 and my $1 Muckleshoot casino souvenir and got the hell out of Dodge. So I'll take $5 poker win any day in a foreign casino. So this, like I said, this is going to be a real laid back nerd show. We're not going to get into real world stuff too much because the real world's just fucking depressing in April. Yeah, I know. Well, I turned it on. We got back from Seattle. I turned on the news, and it was really. I watched the late night news, like CBS overnight news. And it was just like 4 straight stories of cops beating the shit out of people. And it was in four time zones across America. It was really California, Arizona, up the street in Oklahoma, the old guy who shot a dude, and then Baltimore, of course. So I'm like, shit, man, every time zone, dudes are getting their ass beat. And then sure enough.
Can I say one thing about Baltimore?
Yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out.
The problem with that is a lot of these rioters, and this has been a consistent theme in previous riots, the rioters are from out of town. They come in, it doesn't matter what they turn in. They can burn Walgreens down, they can burn CVS down, and then they just go home. They go live elsewhere. I mean, it's almost like a free pass to go destroy stuff.
I'm gonna get to see the anarchists firsthand tomorrow when they protest downtown Seattle, marching through the city. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, but these were Baltimore high school kids. They weren't from out of town. What makes you think they were from out of town, Josh?
There were reports that a bunch of them were, and then it's also been confirmed at other places, Ferguson out in Missouri, and then
oh man,
someplace
I thought I was listening to right wing. I've been listening to a lot of right wing radio. I haven't heard that one. I just heard people. They were like, oh
yes,
shit.
there are people from there destroying stuff too, but yeah.
Yeah, but where are they coming from? Who goes to Baltimore to burn shit down? From the suburbs? Like, I don't understand. If it's not inner city,
I don't know. I didn't actually read that much.
Yeah, it starts to fall apart when you start pulling it around. Like, who else is going to burn down Baltimore? Who wants to go to Baltimore? No one wants. Who the fuck wants to go to Cincinnati? It's the same kind of question. It's the same.
Nobody wants to go to Cincinnati, trust me.
Yeah. But it was just a lot of, it was a lot of, oh, we got to send a national. It was like, this is like, basically, like, shit got real on Monday night. And then by Tuesday night, it was like, hey, everyone calm down. But they wanted to send it. People were like, National Guard, 20,000 troops, and all that crazy shit. And the worst thing I heard on the right-wing radio, because they were like, oh, you got to respond in force. That's all they understand is force. And then it was like, you know who else only understands force? ISIS and Islamic militants. I'm like, oh, fuck. You can't be comparing angry people in Baltimore to Islamic militants. That's when even I had to shut the right-wing radio off and say, that's enough for me. They kept saying they had the same mentality. I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means at all.
Picked it up in the clearance bin, The Secrets of ISIS.
Nice one, Josh.
But you know what? You know why they really should have rioted? Really, because I saw the only other thing I took from the news is that Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 made $15.5 million in a movie theater. No, I'm a disenfranchised black youth in Baltimore City, and then, people, $15.5 million is made on nothing. That makes me angry. I don't know why. It just does.
That movie's pretty horrible.
Yeah, like, no one went, here's my rant on Ball. No one went, like, hey, no one was hyped to see Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. They were like, hey, what do you want to do tonight, sweetheart? Let's go to movies. What's playing? I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. And then they go there, and they're like, oh, Fast and Furious 7. It's sold out. You can't go see that. All right, how about Paul Blart Mall Cop 2? All right, let's go see that. That just means that there's a certain segment of the population that has just enough money. That's $15.5 million that just no one gives a fuck about. That could be going to, I don't know, something that makes people not want to burn down my CVS next to my house. But were they a little quick to overreact, Josh? Do you think that they were quick, like all this stuff? It all calmed down after a day or two.
It did. The Baltimore Orioles played a home game with no fans. That was interesting. Other than that, they just didn't want people to cause problems there, so they played a game with no fans. And they showed fans out on the street looking through the fence at them.
Yeah, it was like the cool thing to come of it. I'm like, that's never happened in American sports, that a team had to play in an empty stadium. The only time I've ever seen that in sports is Europe, when when the soccer fans start acting like complete racist animals, that FIFA makes them play an empty stadium, kind of to punish them, to take away the revenue. So, I mean, that's kind of weird. It kind of happened. I showed my kid, my 9-year-old, sitting on the thing on a computer, and I said, hey, look, they're playing in an empty stadium. He's like, why? I'm like, that's because Baltimore's rioting. What's rioting? And I'm like, shit. Now I explained basically 250 years of bad race relations in America to a 9-year-old because of a Baltimore Orioles playing an empty stadium. I'm like, hey, black people are angry, man. There's a lot of fucked up shit happened, and that was about it. All right, so let's fuck the real world. The real world sucks. The only thing that happened, the big thing before we get into the weekend, I mean the month of April, where I was running all around the country. Strange Bedfellows were released, and some people went bibbles. I don't know if I have a question. Josh, why do people go bibbles? I'll let Justin go first. Justin, we played in a couple of events since then. Is Strange Bedfellows going to unravel the universe?
No. I mean, it's got a lot of good cards in it, and I think people they pick on one card that they hate and they think it's overpowered or broken, and like all the set's garbage because it had this one card. But it was a decent set. Dominion, great set. It's awesome. I think it's going to have some great potential for Phase 2 as we move down the road.
But why? All right, Josh. Why were people now? Why were people going so crazy for a while? Now, Josh, we're gonna break down the fourth wall. We have a big announcement coming up about the Errata team, and I'm gonna officially out Josh Sheets as a member of the Errata team. He's been a member of it, and I don't know how much I can give away. I don't want to give away names, but one of our members of the Errata team had serious concerns about Strange Bedfellows, I can't. I'm just trying to see it from their perspective. How like it's just Dominion and some DS9 stuff. Why? What's the worst thing that could happen, Josh?
The worst thing that can happen, you run into a bunch of NPEs.
Well, what kind of NPA? What you have to do a fourth mission? Is that the worst NPE that we can run across?
And granted, I'm not this good. Other players out there, better deck builders than me, can probably do stuff that's a lot worse. You can start knocking people 15 points a game. You can... Crippling Strike doesn't even need a ship present. You can just, here, no range for your ship or pitch your hand.
Yeah, but that would have to. You would have to if you want to recycle that. You would need a whole lot of resources dedicated just for that.
Oh no! All of these cards individually are probably fine. No real worries. You're just ending up with an affiliation that already had the infiltrator shutdown type stuff, which, granted, that hasn't really been played recently. It did win some Continentals or something a couple years.
Yeah, it was way back. I think Charlie won a Continentals with that way back in 2000.
Exactly.
Dominion never really had a good run, so
they really didn't. But giving them any of these particular cards would have been probably fine. Giving them all to them in the same set, and then no offense, the two idiot equipments.
Why are they idiot equipments?
Here, you need one skill for your mission on both of the new missions for the Dual Dilemma hate.
Yeah, but up until recently, we just said Dominion never had a day in the sun. Has equipment ever had their day in the sun? I have an equipment fetish. I'll just come out of the box and say it. When I design stuff, I want to get equipment in there as much as possible. Up until Bajoran, the new Bajor, has equipment ever had their day in the sun?
No. Well, I was also like Josh
sure
was
it
saying
did.
What Josh was.
Probably one of those Goval things.
Oh, stop it! That's not a day in the sun. They never had a good run. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Justin.
What Josh was saying about the point loss thing, like all the sorts of MPE that could possibly come up, but one thing with 2E, if you think your opponent's going to go for point loss on you, well, put dilemmas under every mission, solve all 3 missions in one turn, and you win the game. Point loss NPE makes no sense. You could build a deck around it, dilemma pile and whatnot.
One surprise Amity and your day's over.
Yeah, but then that's good for them. Fair play. Now, Justin.
I'm not that good at it, but somebody else throw some dilemmas in, throw some other stuff in. You could make it a 30, 35 point loss.
I don't know about 35. That's getting heavy. That requires running your head against the wall and a couple of dilemmas a couple times, and then that's on yourself. Now, Justin, we saw a lot of at the Seattle regional and then the whole weekend. We saw a lot of new Dominion. Set came out. People played it a lot. I saw one guy lose a game of it because he got stuck at 195. That was one of the casual guys playing one of my TNG speed decks, and he lost one game because of that. But I mean, and you played against it a lot. Did you find it? I lost a game to Dominion not because of the point loss, because of the random selection avoidance. It was the shrouding card. It ran through my tragic turn stuff. So I say fair play to that. Did you have any problems? Did you see anything against Dominion that made you upset?
Yeah, playing against Amber in her Dominion deck versus my Dominion deck, it was actually a race. That was actually the best game. The race against time, who pulls the shrouding first, with the mobilization points, that just sped both of us up. I think shrouding with the 2 Jem'Hadar that exclude each other, tragic turn definitely is going to be a way of the past. You can't do that. Everyone's eligible. Same with Chula. Everyone's eligible. You just exclude the people that'll solve your missions, and who cares that you stop a bunch of random idiots?
No, isn't that a good thing? I don't really want to see people playing Tragic Turn and Chula all day, every day.
No, Tragic Turn's been a while and a long time. So is Chula. Time to come with some new piles. It's time to get some new stuff in.
Time to get some new stuff in. There we go. I love it. I think that's what happened a lot of times. People got caught with their ass out, and this set, I will admit it. Strange Bedfellows, you got to account for it. If you new Dominion, it'll phase out after the luster wears off and people don't really, it's a new thing. People want to play new stuff, and it'll go away. It'll come back. But people got caught with their ass out, And then when you lose like that, when you lose 195, you're like, fuck. Isn't that a lot of it, Josh? Is a lot of people just got caught with their ass out and then they're pissed off?
Probably a lot of it has to do with lack of adjustment. Part of it probably has to do with they aren't real sure how to play around new stuff yet. So there is probably a good bit of that, but there's also the potential. I won't give it a pass yet. I'll still be saying it's probably right up there right now.
I mean, give it a pass for what? For being, there was no.
I'm not going to say broken or anything like that.
Yeah, it makes you
not
account
go
for it.
Crazy, but yeah, it's probably okay.
All right, so let me try to go over. Let me go over the start of the weekend. Smoke stating to the kids, go to bed. Anyway, so we start off. My month start the big nerd weekend. This is my big nerd month of the year because I don't plan on going to Gen Con. Worlds is in Australia on the other side of the planet. It might as well be Eternia or Westeros. Or Australia's not a real place in my mind. It's just a foreign land on the other side of the planet. So this is my big month. We wrapped up the league season early in the month, and then we shot to Orlando, where here we are with you guys. We all this is the Masters Mafia, the Masters Mafia reunion. That went over like a lead balloon because we all kind of didn't bring the goods. We even go to we're gonna have our first ever 1E talk, and yeah, Justin came in second, and Josh, you brought a deck that doesn't even work. How the fuck?
Yeah, I brought a flaming dumpster fire. That was just complete. I don't read cards. I'm like you. I don't read cards in 1E.
Yeah, I came out of retirement. I played one game in Orlando because Justin had a deck that had Bajoran Shrine and Dabo, and I'm like, shit, I'll conduct services and gamble and drink up Cork's bargains so no one has to have a bye in the first round. And then he really suckered me in Seattle, and we played a lot of one. I played 2 fucking tournaments, 2 3-rounders. Just hanging out with Justin. Hanging out with Justin is like a former addict, heroin addict, hanging out with a dude who just shoots up every day. He just 1E. He's like, come on, man. Let's just do some 1E, man. Come on, let's conduct services at the 1E shrine. So me and Justin, we played our 1E game. I don't know. This is why I should go back to playing 1E or why I stopped playing 1E. I don't know what happened. But we were playing it. Somehow we just both could not get a mission done. He had Kobayashi Maru, whatever the fuck. I never even seen that card. And he couldn't get past my dilemma. So we both had DS9. We're both playing Bajor. And we're both Daboing for points. I'm at 24. He's at like 19 or some stupid shit. He commandeers the station, turns it non-aligned. He blows up the Bajoran Shrine, which I don't think has ever happened ever. And the game ends. We can't get mission done. So I'm decked out. He's rigging his deck so he only has 1 card left. So I played Kivas Fajo on him, which I remember from back in the day that you can do that. So he's got a deck out. So I get the 24 to 21, no mission, Dabo, strictly bonus point win. So my question is, what's wrong with me, Josh? Should I go back to 1E, or should I never play it again?
You should play the Iron Man OTSD. Other than that, probably stay out of it.
Yeah, that's been my standard operating procedure for the last 15 years. But yeah, that was pretty wild. Going back to Orlando, Justin, just give me your random thoughts on the Orlando Masters. Let's give the people a recap of what went down.
It was a great, looking at the TUI result. 16 people for a Masters was pretty cool. Following their 17-person regional they had a few weekends before. But gotta of course give the shout out to the hospitality of Rick and Dan and Sean, Rick especially, for the significant amount of prize support that he put in, and the hospitality, that he gave, the additional prize, that he gave me for coming the longest way, which is pretty class act for people to travel, for host states and whatnot. Eric's venue was a great venue, great beer.
Yeah, my only thing I'll say on that venue is I walked in and he had a bar. I'm like, oh fuck, right away. And then he had PBR, 16-ounce PBR tall boys for like $2.25. I said, that's it, man. This is my favorite store. Yeah.
But the biggest thing with TUI is I could not believe how many people played Bajoran.
Yeah.
Bajoran Battle. Is that the new flavor of the month?
Yeah, I was caught. Unfortunately for me, I took Klingon Battle, which really wants you to go space first, and then you're either doing a 20-point mission. I think Tyler just went to planets first, which is the right move, and then the one guy just did a 20-point mission, and I called it a bad draw. So I got caught. Yeah, I started out 0-2, and then won the final. Came up the backside, won 4 games, and finished in 3rd place, I think. But yeah, it was a bad meta call for me. Josh, what were your 2E thoughts on Orlando?
The Bajoran kill deck is interesting. I will note I called that like way back when that headquarters came out. Granted, it's nice to see a card from like Necessary Evil that nobody played, but
What, Toxitot?
The
Stone of Gaul.
stick thing where she's the Stone of Gaul. Yeah, I don't remember these. It's late. It's you run into, if you catch that and you're not prepared for it, you will lose every single person you have on the planet. It's a solid deck, but it's not over the top if you play around it.
Yeah, I think it falls in one of those categories is that you got to be a good player and you got to play around it, or you're going to get your ass wiped out. And the biggest thing I took, because there was a lot of talk about Bajor, and then there was a lot of talk about the new Dominion, but what we buried the lead really for April, and the fact was that a 2-mission win deck won Orlando, and then a 2-mission win deck won the Seattle Regional. And I was premature. I thought 2014 was going to be a year of the 2-mission win. And it seems to be 2015 seems to be the way to go. How come no one's even noticed that, Justin?
Yeah, but Jeffrey's deck. I won't speak for Ken's deck because Ken's deck is just Ken. But Jeffrey's deck, that deck was an awesome deck. Jeffrey is kind of a good player. Game against me. Putting the chill of the games on the mission, and he's like, screw this mission. Goes to his second mission. Walks right through it because the games are on another mission, and he walks back over, solves it, wins the game. That deck is a really good deck, and I think it's I may have to try it out. I don't really net decks, so I probably won't, but I don't know.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, there's an app for that. I put it in Matter of Time, which is Pivotal Destiny, and no one's ever really played it, but I think it's it's always one of my cut cards that I put in my deck. So, what were your final thoughts on Orlando, Josh?
It was an amazing venue. It was a amazing support, hospitality, a bunch of great people that I'd previously only known on the message boards or through the occasional online game, and it was a great weekend, minus the chauffeur that we had. And then,
yeah,
I'd be willing to go back if they had another big event.
Yeah, like I said, I pushed right away. Orlando was worth the money, and it's really hard to be worth the money. And first of all, as soon as we got to the hotel, we saw there was a Waffle House within like 14 paces.
Okay, that was a really, really bad thing.
Yeah, I did bad things at the Waffle House on the Friday night, and then we had one in Maryland. So I think that needs to be a prerequisite. If you want to host a Masters, you got to have a Waffle House within walking distance of your venue. And it was basically like I said, Justin already said, you got it. Rick stepped up. You had Dan. So it was it felt like a team operation. You had Sean helping out. You had Dan, you had Rick just bringing it with the prize support, almost too much, but we'll get to that later. I think he put a little too much of his own money. Rick, I love Rick. God bless Rick, but don't spend that kind of money. Oh, Jesus, man. Those trophies were gorgeous, but it's just a bunch of guys playing a card game. You don't got to spend money on us. But that was a blueprint of how to run a Masters. Even Neil did a good job. We had the hotel there. Everything was close by. And I said, and then Orlando, you had a team effort, and you don't get that in a lot of places. What people don't realize is that a lot of times I found this in Minnesota that it was just one guy running everything, and you can't have that. You can't expect one guy to run a whole weekend of events. You can have him run the main event, but you can't have him run the side events. Like we had Sean in Orlando. Sean was running the triples. Dan was doing other stuff. Rick was running the Masters. That's what you need. You need a couple guys helping each other out. So people gotta factor that in when deciding big if they want to change up from Gen Con or change like for Continentals or Worlds. The store was good. The store had a lot of space. Even the Magic players behaved themselves. Everything was fine. It was a great place. Cheap beer. What else do you really want? So that was the end of Orlando. And then my next week, I went from one side of the coast. Next week, I go to Seattle. I think we already told the poker story. Won some money in the poker. Amber, then Saturday, Amber won a tournament. And I'm going to say his name because he was angry about it. Stefan Slabby was upset about the Minion stuff. Is that not a good thing in itself that Amber Van Bremen wins a tournament, Josh, and Stefan Slabby has a rough day? I think that's good. Is that not good for business, Josh?
It is very good for business that Amber wins. That's just good for business.
That a tier 1 player, a former world champion, has a rough day and other people beat him. Is that not good? Why is that this inherently bad?
You're just trying to make yourself feel better just because you keep getting smacked around all the time.
Yep.
Oh wait, sorry. You said world champ. Never mind.
Yeah, well. I think I got second in a lot of. I think I came fourth in Orlando, and then second and third in Seattle. But that wasn't fair because we started at 9 a.m. That's what happened in Seattle. We had the side events. It was great. I played some 1E, the triples. The first night of triples was terrible for me. Every big triples event, I shit the bed. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't do well in a big. I can do well in the first table when I play with Josh, and I score a million. 1.5 million off of just scumbag shit because he can't play the game right.
You're right, I can't.
Then we played Sunday morning. Of course, Justin had to start the event at 9 a.m. I walk in the door, and he says, "Oh, you're playing me." And I fucked up. I forgot to use the Frankie guy who stops guys at the mission. Not to take anything from Justin. Justin beat me. It was a legit win. but I don't know what happened. How did we finish, Justin? Everyone finished 3-1, and Ken had.
I think so. Yeah. Because Amber beat Ken, I believe. Yeah. No, you beat Ken. Ken. Yeah.
That's why the belt. Look behind me. That's how the belt's up here.
Yeah. Everybody was 4-1 for the most part.
Ken lost last.
Yeah, how did you lose to Ken? How did you lose to? I beat him. 60-55, or I just didn't let him get a second mission done. How did you fuck up relativity? Now, Justin, that's a good topic that I didn't prepare. But Justin, you are a relativity soldier. Why? That's all I have.
Ken, I've played it a lot at the local. Both Ken, Michael, and Amber all know the deck as well as I do. They know. And so that's the problem with why I'm now playing other stuff. I'm playing Dominion, I'm playing Bajoran, I've played Romulan, played DS9, because I'm tired of these guys knowing exactly what I play. I need to have some, strength against these guys, versus they know how the deck runs.
Yeah, no, I understand that now after you played it a bunch of times. But I guess my main question was when I first, like I said this on the show before, when we were doing Matter of Time, when we were designing it, and I saw Relativity for the first time, I just cried for 5 minutes. And then I said, all right, well, some people are going to like this. I don't have no desire to play it. I'm starting to kind of get an itch. I'm like, well, maybe I could do some cheese. But like, what do you get out of Relativity? Like, when we had to play in Orlando, I was playing Klingon Battle, and you had to hide at my headquarters and do all this silly shit, and you lost by 5 points. I mean, I'm just saying, like, where's the draw for Relativity? What's the fun? Just making
it's the version that I've come to like, is this basically the slim solver, where you basically and they have probably fairly good. They got good sheets, You can't argue with Kirk Living Legend, Original Thinker, and the Chuckles Brothers, And then of course To Boldly Go, which is in the deck now. For your third mission, walk third on the second attempt. You're done. If you solve the other two. And hiding. Yeah. Hiding at the headquarters. That is a smart play. You use the exocomp, use Jory to get the damage markers off.
Your exocomp saved you from a third damage marker, if I recall, in our game. But I was just slowing you down basically by just keep putting damage markers on your ship. And I remember that son of a bitch exocomp taking one of them, taking them one off. But they always get second. What are they missing? Why come they're not? Like, I guess Relativity was a success. If we want to, at the end of the day, I was real nervous. I'm like, oh man, this, because you're kind of basing a whole affiliation around OT Kirk, which isn't that great, in Chakotay's, which isn't all that fun. But it was a success because they're good. but they're not broken, and they always get second. So what are they missing?
Well, they've won regionals.
You're always.
They've won regionals.
They've won one.
They've won a few. I mean, Mr. Slade won this a couple weeks back, but
Did they win any last year?
I
don't think they won any last year.
It's just like, I mean, well, Voyager's won one Relativity. It could be the skill gaps. There are some decent. I mean, if you don't run a certain non-future fed people, there are skill gaps you can't get around. So things like infinite diversity, counterinsurgency program. There's going to be hard stops like right there. You can't bridge officers tests because there's no double leadership. Unless you have security drills. So it's not a tier 1 affiliation. It's strong. Second place is not always second place. It'll get there. I think first place. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to figure out the right build to get it to win Continentals or something.
I definitely think they're tier 1 because they always compete. They're getting second, third. They're always on the podium. They just seem to be missing. I guess this is a good thing because if something puts them over the top, it might put them over the top too much, and then we're
right. Did we lose John?
It looks like.
No.
Wow, it looks like you're back.
I just said some poetic shit, I think, and then it just lost me. Am I back now? I think
You're
I
back.
have some,
You're back.
Yeah, I'm having some Texas internet issues. I'm surprised we got this far. I did it late at night. I thought we'd be good. What I was trying to say is I think Relativity is tier 1 because it's always on the podium. It's always second or third. And it's right there. And if it gets to the top, it might get to the top too far, and then we're having a conversation of why Relativity is broken and why it fucked everything up. So so that was it. I guess how much is left is regional season? We got a couple regionals left. Josh, do you have any more?
We got a month left. We got a month and a half
We got
left.
2 months. Yeah.
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 So like I said, we have a template now of what Masters should be. You got to have a solid host. And sometimes it's good to have more than one host. You need a team. And Chicago's going up, and you guys are going to Chicago. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it because I can't get in there until late, and I'll miss the side events, and it's just not worth it. And more importantly, I don't have the hookup. When I go to places, I like to have the hookup. Like I know somebody, I'm crashing. So I think I'm going to pass on to Chicago. What do you think is going to see a lot of play in Chicago? You're going to have Chicago's a little interesting of a location because you're going to have the Minnesota guys come down. So what do you think you're going to see a lot of in Chicago, Josh?
You're going to see a lot of people, probably people that haven't made a Masters before, coming to this because, I mean, they've pulled 16 or 17 for a regional in previous years, and like you said, Minnesota can make it there, Indiana can make it there, Ohio can make it there, Iowa if they still travel. I know the Van Bremens moved out by Justin. But I think you'll see a lot of people there who haven't been at other Masters.
Yeah, but what do you think you're going to see played? What do you think is going to be,
You're probably going to see, since we've got the entire month of May, you're going to see people who have played with the new stuff and either adjusted to it or refined it to make it very, very solid.
So you think this might be the moment of truth for the strange bedfellows, anarchists who think the set's going to bring Dominion's going to bring
If it's going to
down?
happen, that's probably the best shot at it. It could happen at some regional in the month of May, but Chicago Masters is where people would want to save the good stuff and try and win a Masters with it.
Yeah, I mean,
As far as I know, Chris is the only one pre-registered for Chicago so far from the Minnesota crew. Is anyone else coming down that we know of?
I've heard a couple of people talking about it, but nobody confirmed.
yeah, they don't travel. I mean, they don't travel well. I don't know how else to put it. Some Gen Cons are hit or miss. Suddenly, all of a sudden, there's a lot of fucking orange hats at Gen Con, and then you don't see them for 3 or 4 years. So they're a fickle bunch.
I take it back. There is somebody other than Chris.
No, we've been talking a lot about Dominion, and then as we're playtesting Strange Buffaloes, we're kind of worried about DS9, how they're too quick, they're going to be too fast, they're going to have a bunch of barf out a lot of people. I'm thinking with the speed that those Minnesota's kind of known for, they don't like playing a lot of janky stuff. They like get people out. Let's try attempt missions with fucking 4 guys, and let's just try or barf people out and double crew, shuffle my people up in the middle of the fucking turn. I don't know what that's about. What the fuck is that about? I'm gonna get angry for no reason.
Well, you watch people play their people underneath, and so you can know where the spot is on the away team. So like you watch them pulling their people out, you can sort of have a kind of idea of which personnel's gone down.
Yeah. So do they think that I'm doing that? Like I give a fuck. Like I'm gonna watch like a 3-card money that I'm watching. Where the fuck? Like it just seems I haven't had that happen in a while, but they used to do that. They used to because they already have decks where they like cadet decks where they have like 18 people out and they start shuffling their fucking people and then doing the clicking fucking thing from Magic. Oh, I fucking hate that shit. But all right, so I'm gonna switch it up. Our announcement, we got a big announcement. Like I said earlier, I outed Josh as a member of the errata team, and at the end of the month, I'm going to step down, and then Josh is going to take over as the errata lead. I'm going to go step down back to the bench as I'm going to stay on the errata team, but Josh is going to take over. And Josh was the #1 choice because Josh is 100% independent. He's not in design. He's not in the rules. That's what you really need for errata, someone who just doesn't give a shit about anything else. So my question is now that it's not going to be my personal hate list anymore, Josh, it's going to be your personal hate list. What's going to get banned after the beginning of June?
Let's see here. I'm going to errata Infestation to be cost 0, just because I love tribbles and want more tribbles in 2E. So
yeah, I like that. It's still that's true.
Right that's top of the list right there.
I'd approve of that. I'll vote for that. What else have we got on the agenda?
I mean, let's see here. We're probably gonna say that Relativity discards all your people, whether they have the future icon or not, each turn, just because.
You're just gonna ban Relativity, basically. Why do you hate?
Amber's gonna hate you. Amber's gonna hate you, Josh.
I said it was a good thing she won a tournament. No. If anything, Relativity potentially, due to the cards that already exist, limits future design. That would be about my only big issue with it. I'm all kinds of a fan of the new archaeology, put an archaeology guy into play, and the play matching commander archaeology mission, whatever. I don't know how that even works. But it looks like fun. Not tier 1, but looks like fun. Just because. And that's just goofy stuff. So
yeah, I mean, you don't want bleed when it can be good, but you want bleed where it can be okay. And this basically allows you to have like new deck, set. This allows there's a certain. I mean, this isn't really.
It's Trek sense. It lets you do the show, but
yeah,
say Relativity, they never had Kirk and Chakotay and. I saw Richard Galen in one of those decks a while back. No.
Yeah, but Revised Chakotay was the future. It was an alternate reality from that episode.
I did not say Revised. I said the other one.
Okay, well,
But again, I'm probably not going to take shots at it because, hey, people like it. Amber, as you keep mentioning.
But most people that have played against Chuckles Brothers and Kirk, OT Kirk, hate it. Most people that play against it and either have lost or have a really hard time winning against it say this is stupid.
It's a bad combination.
Right. Voyager gets it too.
Well. Voyager doesn't get Kirk. Unless somebody plays Secret Identity, which, hey, if they're willing to do that, go ahead.
So last batch... So Josh, the last batch of errata was the whole Romulan batch where we tweaked the Romulan cards. And what was your vote and what was your take on that? Now that you're taking over the lead, I'm just trying to get your my design commandments and my errata theory. Everyone pretty much knows what I'm about. but this is a chance for people to know what Josh Sheets is about before they start, before the trolls. Not that the trolls they've been kind of either kicked out of town. The villagers have kind of lit a lot of torches on trolls on fire. But I'm going to give him a chance for to get the kind of feel of what Josh Sheets is about. What do you think about the Romulan stuff, the Patal, the Viceroy, the other fuckface? Let's call him fuckface Romulan guy, past guy. What was your thoughts on the Romulan errata?
Well, as far as the Romulan stuff goes, Patal doing the discount, yeah, sure, that's fine. But being able to get the discount and scout the dilemma pile, yeah, probably a little too good for a potentially one-cost personnel. Granted, if you're playing all dual dilemmas, hey.
Well, you say I know. That's good. Well, you say a little too good. I say absolutely unacceptable because number one command, my design. I've been trying to write an article, but I've been really fucking lazy this year. I want to write the my 10 commandments of design, and I have about 7.5 commandments. But the number one has always been protect the integrity of the dilemma pile. And this isn't one that you can't have full planet scans and the other fucking scan card. It doesn't really work like that. You got to protect the dilemma, the integrity of the dilemma pile. So that's why Patal. That's why
I'm good with that. And like I said, he was probably a little too good. And now, yes, you get to see what's in the pile. So if you're doing shenanigans, self-replicating roadblock, general crim. Other things that screw with dilemmas.
Oh, I have no problem with peeking. I have no problem with what's the word I'm looking for? Probing someone's dilemma pile, getting a little peek, but not be able to rig, seeing the top cards, and knowing where they're at, and be able to.
Yeah, the turn I decide to go out, I play up the tall and look at the top 4 cards. I'm like, okay, well that tells me where I'm going, or what I need to worry about. That probably was Tal. You have to.
He doesn't broadcast anymore. That's all he was.
Yeah, he has to be there. So
now,
if
Justin,
you really want to do it, yeah.
And now, Justin, playing in the now you've all of a sudden now played a cutthroat meta that I used to kind of play, and you got a 3-headed monster there. You got you got Ken Tufts, and you got Mike MVP, and Ken's a 1E convert. He plays very similar Michael Van Bremen decks, which don't work against me. That's why the belt's hanging up on my wall. People gotta stop playing janky shit against me. You gotta go right through me. And there was a lot of Romulan you were saying. So how do you feel about the Romulan errata? Because
playing. I definitely agree. The Romulans, they were strong. That's the one main reason why my Gen Con deck last year and my Maryland Masters deck was basically meted for anti-Romulan to starve their downloads. That's also why I went the speed solver route with Relativity. No interrupts. Tal doesn't get to do shit against my Relativity deck because there's no interrupts. Viceroy, well, you're stuck. You're playing TT, but, we'll go back to Maryland, the game against Neil. I think I TT'd once when he had Viceroy out, and that was it. And, worrying, do you really need to do it? Just starve those downloads. Romulans are not that great without those downloads. They need them to get out of impasse, to get their stuff going, FSE, power shift, if they don't drive. And so it's, brings them more in line. They have to discard something more valuable, like Viceroy. Yeah, you discard a Romulan personnel, you have to discard something, and it's once per turn. So that's, I think it's a little more level with the rest of the affiliations.
Yeah, like I said, on the boards, complaining about the Romulan errata is like being a rich guy and complaining that your taxes went up 1%, because I think the Romulan errata is pretty tame. Now,
considering some of the things we had talked about, yeah, that was pretty tame.
I still think, John, you should play the Romulans post errata and win a big event.
Well, I tried to play. No, my Klingon deck was kind of a point where, because that deck I played it in a Boston regional years back, and that deck was undefeated going into Subliminal Signal. It was basically because of Korath and Guidance of the Council. It was just too goddamn good, especially Korath, because Korath pre-errata gave you defense with your offense. So you had the I'm gonna blow you out of the fucking stars with Subliminal Signal in my dilemma pile, and if you have anything on the table, Korath is gonna machine gun the shit out of you. Well, I had to cut that out. I had to cut the defense out which after post errata, but guidance was still good. I still got Catal out. I still got Kentar out. But yeah, sometimes people had shit out that kind of fuck with me, and that's good because your deck, you can have offense or you can have defense, but to have both that are really good is just too much. And then you were saying about downloads, Justin, about when you break everything down, it comes down to downloads. And in our game in Seattle, now I fucked up at the end, but you beat me, and I'll say you beat me is because you uninvited twice. It doesn't say download, but uninvited is download. So you downloaded 2 Overcost dilemmas, Trula dilemmas, to stop 2 crews. So my question to you, Justin, is how do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night playing Overcosted dilemmas to give it an effect? How do you feel about that? Because after that, I'm like, oh, uninvited. Uninvited. If I had a hate list, if the errata team was my personal hate list, or uninvited would have got cut that day.
Hey, so I didn't make designs ruling on the Overcosted Chula thing. My whole stance on that is you go back to protecting the integrity of the dilemma pile. If you should not be able to throw Overcosted dilemmas and get free stops for the good games on the mission. If you can't afford the dilemma, it goes under. It does absolutely nothing. And so, that goes back to also Damaged Archer. Damaged Archer with game on the mission, he does absolutely nothing to those round selections. I think
that came up too. Yeah.
I think the game, if Chula is good, Damaged Archer should be an answer to Chula. Secret ID is the answer to Damaged Archer. And so I think the game should be reworked and reworded. Does it apply to Overcosted dilemmas? Has something to do with Archer to make it not, make it actually work. I don't know. That's very NPE. Games on mission. Archer doesn't do anything. No, nothing stops those stops.
It's not so much NPE. Is that when that came up in the Seattle Regional, what happens is when that comes up, you have to explain the interaction of the Trula pile to players. And then when I noticed this, when you explain the interaction of the Trula pile to casual players, they make a confused face. And it reminds me of the 1E face. And I made fun of this in Maryland Masters when Neil never played 1E. And Josh, I think you both were playing in that game when bad things just kept happening to Neil at 1E. Works 1E, just all your people die, and go fuck yourself. That's what happens at 1E.
Congratulations, you failed to have this one random skill. Your entire thing just went off the board.
Yeah, all 14 people in your ship go, and then everyone in 1E, you see that face in 1E. I call it the 1E face, and people just reevaluate their whole life and the hobbies, the choice they make, what they do with their free time. So when you explain the Chula pile to casual players, you just go like this. You're like, huh? And they make that face, and I hate that face. That's why it's like, that's why we had our errata George Primmett, and I think Ben in his drunken post one night explained why we explaining Primmett. I think Chula might get into that category. Sometimes.
It's a good pile, but there should be obvious counters to it. If there's no counters to that pile, then the pile's too good. And so there needs to be something.
The counter came out in that same set.
Which?
Self-replicating roadblock.
No, there's counters if you know it's coming. Because I remember one game we played, me and Justin. I had Krim, and I did the first mission. And he did some stuff to get his Trulas back, and then I just used Krim and then made him go under the mission, and he was sad. So if you know Trula's coming, it's not about Trula, because Trula is fine because it made people dust off some of the Trula dilemmas. I don't think it's much of a success as people think it was. It's just that the design precedent of gaining a reward for playing overcosted dilemmas is something we don't want to. We want to avoid that as much as possible. So all right, we're going in. The next big event is Chicago, like we talked about earlier. All right, so final predictions, Justin. Justin, what wins Chicago Masters? Tui.
Oh, probably either Bajoran battle or a 2-mission win.
All right, now 1E, Justin, you were the hitman. You're supposed to win 1E for the Masters Mafia in Orlando because me and Josh shit the bed.
That game against Ryan Sutton was probably toughest game in a while, and I find out afterwards that actually Ryan did a little bit of a boot camp with Ken regarding facing the Kazon deck. You know,
Oh, your boy sold you out?
Wait, so your own playgroup traitorred on you?
Oh.
no, shut up, no. I mean, it's good because there is. I mean, you think Tui has bad problems. The Kazon battle deck has got so many problems in it that it's not fun to play against. And, you know, I think it needs a lot of work. And so, you know, it's too good. It's too good, you know. And the game against Ryan was awesome. You know, it was honestly pretty darn close. You know, the differential didn't really recognize that, but, you know, it was freaking close. Ryan was scared to death, sweating the entire game because one wrong move and he was gone. Evade Board Vessel. Great counter to Kazon, strategic base. You know, there's a lot of counters to it. You just gotta play carefully. Do I think Kazon is gonna be seen or in Chicago? Probably not. I think it's gonna be more solver based.
I was all ready to come out of retirement because I was like, yeah, fuck, man, I want to play. I'm gonna dust off all my box. I have a box of cheese still in the corner. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get my colonies out. Then somebody was like, oh, colonies banned. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. What do you mean colonies banned? Colony is the shit.
Everything you used to play, John, is now on the ban list.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, I should
Everything I used to play is now on that ban list.
Yeah, that's right. I gotta look up the OTF file and see if all my shit is banned because I don't know.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is Barkley transport? I heard Q's Planet is banned.
It is.
Oh man, fuck me. I love me some Q's Planet.
Transporter Phobia is not banned. It is
I know that's the only reason why I might come back, just to play my old school Barkley Transporters Phobia deck, where one dude almost one guy back in the early 2000s, big dude, went to fight me because of Barkley. I just kept fucking that. Nah, he can't go either. All your dudes are dead, and he was just turning red. Hulk smash. All right, Josh, what's gonna win? What's gonna win? Tui Orlando? I mean, not Orlando, Chicago. One of the fucking cities.
Tui's probably going to be, I'll give it to a solver, whether it's the 2-mission or not. I don't know. I'm really hoping it's not micro-teaming, because that's just, like, annoying. I'll give it solver, and based on the pre-registers, you'd have to say that Mike Harrington is a favorite.
That's another thing we learned from Orlando Masters. The micro-teaming's back, right? Is that a good thing? I don't think it's a good thing. Micro-teaming, we got away from it, and now it's clearly back in the game. Even James had a rant one time, and I had to agree with him, which makes me sad inside. Is that a good thing that micro-teaming's back in the game, Josh?
TCS took it away for a while, and then somebody, like, we'll go with the guy who they made TCS for, figured out how to do 20-point missions for 100 points in
and then they made another 20-point mission. I'm gonna leave that up to you. Yeah. That'll be the next errata team leads. It's TCS is the big hubbub, and I'm glad I don't have to worry about those decisions anymore. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap up the show. Josh, thanks for coming on. Justin, thanks for coming on. Good luck in Orlando. Like Greasy Ducat, I'm gonna kick you guys out.
Orlando, really?
Chicago. Hey, we're the fucking hey, whatever you're gonna do. Fuck the show. All right, Greasy Ducat, I'm kicking you out of the disco pile. Good night.